Healthy oversharing versus toxic oversharing. Let's talk about this because I've been on the receiving end of some toxic oversharing and I was like, what's
happening here?
Napkin?
Wine!
Wine! You know? Hello, girlfriends.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Episode 2, Season 1. We're here. So much love. I have a question.
What is it?
Burning question.
Like Burning Man question or just...
Well, we can talk about Burning Man. I'm so excited. I still don't have a ticket, but there's literally not a universe, not a multi-metaverse or a timeline that exists in which I'm not on the playa this year.
I mean, yeah, you kind of got to do it.
I got to do it.
Yep.
You are a Burning Man virgin.
I haven't never been. Yeah. Someday. I mean, I've been wanting to go for a minute. I just never made it happen, I guess.
Tickets. Yep. Okay, if anyone who's listening to the show currently has 2 extra tickets to Burning Man, hook a sister up. We are equipped. I have a trunk full of costumes and I'm radically self-reliant.
I love that. Radically self-reliant. That is a good one.
That is one of the Burning Man principles.
Yes.
Radical self-reliance.
10?
Radical inclusion, radical self-reliance, and there's a bunch of other ones.
Yeah, I read them once and I was just like, that shit's cool.
You know, if every community honestly functioned how Burning Man functions, it is incredible to me that thousands of people organize and self-organize in the way that they do.
Yeah.
Into an activity that is literally remote because there's no service connection Wi-Fi, or at least I don't seek it. You can find anything at Burning Man, but if you really wanted some Wi-Fi, I'm sure you could have find it. But
just a little bit.
Yeah, my first experience when I went to Burn, leaving, I was like, oh my God, this is a whole small economy. Because in order to make it to Burning Man, you need to find a camp. You need to have all of the stuff. You need to have your RV. You're bringing everything in because you can't buy anything. And you're there for 2-3 weeks. So you have to like get everything. And then all the toys and all the play and all the other fun stuff that people bring, that's another whole thing. So people have to be financially self-sufficient. People have to be emotionally self-sufficient because it is really difficult in the desert. And I don't find another place where it's that hot and like it's that like the weather is crazy. Like the weather gets to
really
you.
Really hot to really cold.
Yeah, it really gets to you. It like tests you. I know couples that go to Burning Man as like many couples don't survive. It's like an ultimate test to their relationship.
Really?
Because there's so many temptations. Right? And there's so many different things that are available. And it's like, it ends up kind of feeling like this free for all, but there's still these internal boundaries that your relationship has. And you end up finding
what those are.
What those are. And, yeah, it's a whole you have to be financially sufficient, emotionally sufficient, and you have to be radically inclusive of people around you in any fun activity that you're doing. So Burning Man really changed my idea of collaboration, creation, community, and it gave me faith in humanity. I was like, if so many people can self-organize into art, music, food, the best of the best, right? You can find anything that you want at Burn. It is the most incredible experience I've been a part of. And I've done a lot of different music festivals and different other things. So yeah, you must go. It's a must go for Alicia.
I feel like it's going to happen. The thing that you said that really caught my ear was if all communities had these, not commandments, but whatever they are to live by, it would make things much easier. And I think you're really right. And a lot of times we don't really take the time to define what we're looking for. That being said, do you have like girlfriend commandments? Like what are the commandments that have to be met to have a really good friendship with another girl, especially as an adult?
I have a big one. You must be a creatrix.
What? This is a Zlata-ism.
This is a Zlata-ism. You must be a creatrix of your own reality, of your own projects, and you must take radical ownerships of the projects you create. So there are a lot of incredible women around me who have achieved
Great things.
a lot of things, but have they truly created? Because that puts you in touch with your soul. That puts you in touch with the universe. That puts you in touch with the flow, because you will understand me in a different way if you have created things, not on someone else's budget, not on someone else's dime, not on someone else's time.
yourself.
Your time, your money, your soul mission, your soul purpose.
Yeah.
Because when I come home after a long day where I will share with my girlfriend, hey, you know, like there's so much that's like, take tonight. Like I'm going to leave here and I'm going to go, there was so much expectation in the very beginning. And, you know, the first episode didn't necessarily, like I will have something to share. Yeah. And if they can't truly relate to me because they don't understand the journey and the ride and the nonlinear success of a creation, they won't be able to be a part of my adventure, and they won't be able to hear me, see me, feel me in the same way.
So number one rule for you is thou shalt be a creator.
Thou shalt be a creatrix.
I love it.
We're going to write these down.
Yeah, I feel like these are going to be good. It was
Look at
just
these
like
cards Alicia created. Like they are the most adorable caricature.
They're so cute, but I cannot take credit for those. So that was Rachel drew me. She is amazing. So I pretty much I think she gave me those cards as a gift. And then I went buck wild with them because you know how I do when I like something.
Oh, she does.
But in every color, in every way possible. So I definitely fit your number one, thou shalt be a creator.
Thou shalt be a creatrix. Give us Rachel's Instagram.
Oh, what is her Instagram handle? It is Handmade Highlights.
Handmade Highlights. Shout out to Rachel, who's, by the way, an illustrator for the Kardashians. If I may drop some words and some nuggets.
Some large names.
Large names, and also the
By
illustrator.
large, I meant lots of letters.
Lots of letters. As long as my last name. And Rachel is also an illustrator for Alicia's cookbook, which is called Couture Cupcakes. So if I may just
drop that one in there.
Yeah, just drop that one in there. So thou shalt be creatrix. She meets that one.
Got it. Okay. So what's number two?
What's number two for you?
I think a big one for me, Z, is thou shalt know how to communicate when things get tough.
Ooh. Thou shalt not be a bitch.
Well, I didn't say you can't be a bitch. I don't have a problem with that. Like, if you need to be bitchy, man, I can handle that. I
can handle that
sometimes too, right? So my big thing is passive aggressiveness. I cannot handle it. I don't know if it's because of some of the things that I've experienced in my life. I literally, whenever I see passive aggressiveness happening, I want to vomit. I'm just like, dear God, please. I would much rather you come rip the Band-Aid off and be like, you know what? I would even rather you have somebody come to me and be like, you have been the biggest bitch, and right now I can't fucking stand you. I would rather you tell me that so that I can let that sink in for a moment and think about, have I treated you badly? Because that's never my intent, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen sometimes, right? And I think that I love radical ownership. That's a huge thing for me. So if I've done that, made you feel that way, that was never my intent. And if you'll just be honest with me, then I can try to fix the scenario. Whereas passive aggressiveness, I feel like it's child's play.
Well, it's a form of manipulation.
Yeah, manipulation. And even if it's unconscious and they don't realize they're manipulating, it's like, are we going to grow up and have an adult relationship? Or am I going to have to yank shit out of you?
Thou shalt tell the truth.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
Thou shalt tell the truth. How about that? I love that about women who are in my life. They will tell me the truth.
That's very true. And you're really good about telling the truth. Okay, I have to tell a story. So I
got a story.
I do have a story.
Everybody, lean in closer. A little bit closer.
Closer.
And a little bit closer. She's about.
I love that you'll play with me. So this is a cute story because I feel like it really accentuates what a good friend will do for you. I had actually hired Zlata for her creative direction on a project, and I was being a little bitch about it.
Oh, she was.
I was like, I don't want to do it. Mind you, I had hired her to do it with me. And then I'm like, I don't like it. I don't want to do it. Of course, what the real problem was I was uncomfortable. It was new to me, wasn't good at it. And so I was throwing a little bitch fit, literally. And you listened to me. You were kind to me. You let me have my moment. We got off the phone, and then you sent me a text that said, you know what, Alicia, I want to support you and I want to see you succeed, but I can't do that with the way your attitude is. Girl, it was like, if there was a mic, you dropped it. I almost dropped my phone. And I was just like, she's so fucking right. She's right. And I loved you for being honest with me, because I think when someone truly loves you, they're willing to be a mirror for you, regardless of what that might cost them. Because you didn't know how I would respond to that. That was the first time you ever had to do that with me in our 2 years.
That could cost me a contract.
A contract or a friendship.
Yeah.
I could have been like, I don't know who you think you are, you know? So the fact that you loved me enough to step out on that limb, that sealed I know that you will always be in my inner circle. So that was what created that scenario for me with you. But I think that's such a big thing to be able to be
uncomfortable truths.
Yeah.
And I'm here for my girlfriend's success. I'm here to be a support pillar for what you're creating. I'm here to help your life easier. I'm here to co-create with you. Yeah. And I'm here to make sure that you follow up on your goals
and dreams.
Because nobody wants to, in that scenario, nobody wants to post on Instagram. Nobody wants to post on social media. It is not fun when you're first beginning to do it, right? But there's a bigger reason for why we're doing this, because we have bigger projects, bigger dreams, bigger missions, bigger brands that we want to build. And you get to move through that uncomfortable hump initial, right? Like of a learning curve that gets you to the result that you want. And I just needed to I also reminded you what you wanted when we first started on this adventure. And I would also argue that there are so many people in your life, and I've experienced this in my life when my company was bigger. You had 130 employees at some point, right?
Yeah.
There are not a lot of people in your life who could say that to you.
That's very true. And it's not because somebody doesn't know more than me. It's because that for some reason, when somebody's hit a certain level of perceived financial, monetary, employee, business size, people feel uncomfortable that they can't really tell you what they're thinking. Why that is, I don't know. But to have somebody just tell the truth to you. And I didn't ask you to sugarcoat it. And you didn't really sugarcoat it. That's what I said. I like it. Rip the Band-Aid off, man. I don't need that. I think that that's so valuable. And I also think it's valuable on the flip side. If you can't take that from someone because you can't handle it, then you can't be a good friend. Because if you can't handle it, then you also can't give it. And that's what the other person most likely needs. So what I heard from you summed up is that thou shalt be a cheerleader.
Thou shalt be a cheerleader. That is point number 3.
I mean, I think you kind of hit on it. Those are the things that we're looking for in our girlfriends. We're looking for someone who cheers us on, who sees what we're capable of, who pushes us when we need that extra little push up the hill, right?
There are so many humans in our lives that are secret haters. I'm like,
girl,
some of y'all's friends are actually your haters because they're constantly questioning, what are you doing and where are you going and why are you doing that? What's the thing in this? And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I had to leave my original group of friends in order to start a business that was successful. I had to leave the state, the environment, the people who were not supportive of my goals and dreams, who said, oh, you'll just be back.
Wow. How did that feel?
Oh,
what does that feel like?
It gave me this fuck you drive. I'm like, fuck you. Of course I'm going to succeed. Of course I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. I was always this person. And what you just showed me that you aren't actually my friend. Your friends are the people who, when you launch a podcast, they'll share it. They'll review it. They will ask you, when is the launch party? They'll be the ones cheering you on and saying, okay, what's next for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're so excited for you.
Yeah. Take inventory.
Ooh, I love that. So I think when you stepped through that process and lost that group of friends, how did you go about building the next group? Because it's very different as an adult. You know, when you're in school, you have the chance to meet a lot of people all the time, play around, all of that stuff. But as a hardworking adult, it's different.
I didn't see a big value in a friendship circle and a community circle until recently. I'll be really honest. I was very much independent, strong, by myself. I will go and I will build this and I don't need no one. And I've been a part of business masterminds that have been really transactional. Right? Like, you give me this, I give you this. You get this knowledge, I will get this knowledge. there are some masterminds have been kicked out of
Well.
for not being transactional enough. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But recently, when I opened my heart to a possibility that people could love me and be supportive and kind and thoughtful to me without needing to count and calculate transactions, that's when everything changed. And I really do feel very strongly that Burning Man did that for me.
Wow. It set the example.
It set the example because at Burning Man, you can't buy anything. And at Burning Man, you are stripped down to yourself. You are stripped down to your most authentic version because you are in tough conditions with people you don't know, and you have to be radically self-reliant, but also relying on other people to feed you on the opposite side of the playa when you're starving and you just have to your cup.
Yeah.
So I recently opened up my heart to a new possibility of a new community. And it really started with that. I had to see that if I wanted to go fast, I could go alone. If I wanted to go far, I would need to go together.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I heard you say that before, and I have always loved that. I think it's true, but it takes some time to understand.
Adult friendships are hard. And because we share a past with people, we share high school, college, maybe family, maybe, somebody's kids went to kindergarten together, milestones. And post-pandemic, when I moved to a new city, when I moved to a new city like LA, I had to start over because I didn't actually I don't know if you know this, but I didn't make a conscious move to go from New York to LA.
Oh yeah, you got stuck here.
I got stuck here. Universe had a bigger, better plan for me.
Yep.
And every time I would try to go back to New York City, a new circumstance wouldn't let me go home.
Yeah.
So I was forced to make a decision to be like, okay, I'm here now.
What am I going to do?
What am I going to do? Who are my people? What's my community? What do I want it to look like? It also kind of took a heartbreak in between, but
those are always sprinkled in and out.
Yes,
right?
of course.
Yeah.
I think they're really big ways to move us forward as women.
Yeah. I think that a lot of times women have tended to connect on bashing their husbands, bashing their boyfriends. It's like,
Bashing other women.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's really gossip in general, right? Talking about people. What do you think about that? How does that impact adult relationships?
So I think gossip is the most horrendous form of communication that is like cancer. Because you breed these cancerous cells among the friend groups because you're unable to tell the truth, or you're a little tattletale who's unable to express how you feel. I am going to be honest with you. I was really bad with gossiping. This has been something that I have been trying to rein in with myself for a long time. And I realized who was speaking, and it's a 7-year-old hurt self who got excluded or didn't get what she needed or what she wanted. And, it is still very challenging for me because I have a hard time telling the truth. And it's probably because of my upbringing. I couldn't really communicate straight about my needs or my wants. I didn't feel like they were necessarily
A priority.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah. How are you today? I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. All good.
The typical woman's answer.
Yeah. And I think my parents have gone through such a horrendous time in their life where, I grew up in Russia and my parents had a business together. And then my mother's father passed and there was a crisis in Russia and their business fell apart. And because their business was falling apart, their marriage was falling apart. Their friendships were falling apart. As I understand now, during the time when I needed the most, my family was going through a really challenging time. And my mom used to say, this is a joke. Now I understand it's a joke now. She would go like, disappear yourself. Like, she's like, you're taking up too much space right now. Disappear yourself. And I took it to heart. I took it very much to heart. So now when I am gossiping, that is my cue that there's something my little self is not expressing that I need. And it's a projection from a family affair that hasn't been resolved yet. Trauma. Sometimes it leaves scars, and this is where we are. Yeah. And, speaking of trauma and spilling over on people, I do feel like a lot of girlfriends specifically, through gossip or through whatever, tend to, it's like that's, remember the situation I was telling you where I was like, I had a girlfriend break up with me?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Okay, first of all, if you make a girlfriend, do you think that you should break up with that girlfriend if you no longer feel like you should be friends?
I mean, I think that this goes back to dating. Like, are you the ghoster? Are you the drama breakup queen? Like, I'm pretty much the type that once I've realized we're not compatible, most of the time, the reason I realize we're not compatible is because I don't see a growth plan in your life that matches the one in my life. So once I've seen that our growth rate does not align or that we're growing in opposite directions, I lose interest in trying to create an understanding between us because I think we are not in the same book. So if that's the case, that's usually the only time that I let a friendship kind of dissolve. And I have the tendency to let them, what I call, die peacefully. I'm like, that'll
Die peacefully.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a huge like, I don't like what you've done and we're not friends anymore. Click. Dear God, take your drama somewhere else. And if someone did that to me, I would be like, oh God, thank you for saving me.
Thank you for saving me. Well, this friend was very, very dramatic about expressing how, because I, because of my...
Basically what she said is you take up too much space. You take up too much space. What the fuck does that mean? I was trying to figure it out when you told me.
Who?
I know. I'm like, was she talking about your hair? It was too fluffy. What do you mean?
It's because you're from Texas. You're like, was your hair
too fluffy?
Girl, is your hair too big?
Everything's bigger and better in Texas. No, just kidding. No, for real. You take up too much space. That was shocking to me to hear that someone would even say that to somebody else.
So it's interesting because it was a straight up projection from something that happened prior where there was just a lot of dumping happening in that friendship.
Yeah. From my point of view, I think what happens is sometimes you meet somebody that you feel very safe with and you share scenarios that are very close to your heart and that maybe you haven't taken the time to work through and heal. And then you have like an oversharing hangover. I think that's what you called it the other day. And I was like, oh, it's a hangover from oversharing. And then you become very guarded and scared because now you feel like there's a part of you that you left unprotected and they might use it against you. And so that's really what I think happens a lot of times. It's really a projection, like you said, of their own insecurities from letting someone get close.
Yeah, vulnerability hangover is a real thing.
That was it. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, vulnerability hangover is a real thing, is when you feel like you overshared with someone who is close to you. You've said so much about yourself to the other person, and you feel like they now know more about you and can use it against you
Then you know about them.
But what you don't realize is that that's what deepens your connection. That's what deepens your friendships and allows other people to get to know you better.
And do the same. Because there's always one person, relationships are not equal. One person's always going to have shared more. Just depends on what moment you're in. And if you can push through that vulnerability hangover and just love, then the connection deepens.
Right. And there's a time and a place for when you're sharing.
Yeah.
Right. There is a permission to share. There's a permission to share something that's really personal to you.
I agree. The positive and the negative. It's like, hey, if I need a friend to talk to, then you told me this one time, can you just hold the trash can? Like, I'm about to vomit all this shit. I don't need to hear what you think about it, how I can fix it. It's not about any of that. It's just about me getting this shit out. And can you just be my support for a moment and hold the space? And I thought that was such a good way to go about it. So that's commandment number 5. Thou shalt be a good trash can holder.
Thou shalt hold the trash can.
Be a good trash can holder. But I also think it works for positives too. I think that a lot of times women don't really take the time to share about what they've accomplished and what they're proud of. So the other day I literally called you and I was like, can I just do a humble brag? And I think that's how you have to phrase it. Like, I need to share with someone that I'm proud of what I've accomplished, and to know that I have a girlfriend that I can call who's secure enough in herself to hear the big things that I think I've accomplished and go, damn, girl, that's like best friend material. So thou shalt also be able to handle your girlfriend's humble brags, right? And cheer her on. That's cheerleader, I guess. But it meant so much that I could call you and just say those things to you. And I didn't have to think that you hung up the phone and were like, oh my God, she thinks she's
so full of herself.
Exactly.
Please be full of yourself. Who else are you going to be full of?
Yeah. Well, we don't have to go there, but yeah, I mean,
oh my God.
You said it and you know I'm gonna...
My.
She acts like she doesn't know me.
Sweet Lord. I gave her an entry and she took it. Smashed it.
Thou shalt be a smasher. No, don't smash.
Just going to pause here for a second. So we talked about a couple of things, right? Like we started with gossip.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that gossip is toxic. I like your rule on it, on gossip.
Let's hear it. Which one?
Your rule on gossip. If the person is in the, if the person is present in the room and you wouldn't say this to them, then that's gossip.
Yeah, that is. I had to learn. So I come from a Persian background, and in that type of family, I will never forget my dad telling me one time that what happens in our house stays in our house. And I was young and I didn't understand it. I was raised with a Persian father and American mother. And if there's anything more separate in the way that you raise kids, have never heard of it. But when he said that to me, it made me feel like I'm not allowed to tell people about who I really am. Like I just need to always just don't share anything. And I had to learn that that's not what he was saying to me. What he was saying to me is choose your words wisely, because your feelings might pop off. You might be annoyed. You might be aggravated, but those words, they continue forever. So make sure that when you're speaking, you would be okay with whoever you're speaking about coming up behind you, and it wouldn't change what you have to say. So I have to say with that doesn't mean that I don't ever talk shit, because I have a husband. So I'm talking shit, man. Why the fuck does he have to leave his boxers out every goddamn fucking day? Sorry, that's a lot of bleeps. But yes, I do. Like sometimes I will talk shit. And if I say that to Zalata, I will also say it right in front of Charles. So to me, that's not gossip, because he knows I'm just venting. It's like, that is what it is. But that's a fair way for me, at least, to know that I'm not crossing that boundary.
I love that. And every time I now have a desire to say something about someone behind their back, I take it to my journal and I'm like, what do you need in this relationship? What do you need in this friendship? What are you not getting?
Or maybe what are you not getting in your friendship with yourself that you're 100% deflecting onto this person?
Right. Because it's so easy to be like, oh, this person isn't giving me enough attention, or this person is full of themselves, or this person is this. But truly, those are just your own insecurities projected on the other person. This is where forgiveness comes in. This is where I love this practice. Radical Forgiveness Worksheets by, gosh, it's escaping me now, but I've written so many of these. I probably have stacks and stacks and stacks. My mom actually turned me onto this practice.
Mom sounds like a badass.
My mom is a boss.
I know. I'm like, I need to meet this lady.
My mom was a boss. Listen to this story. She was a journalist, a news anchor, a filmmaker, and now she's an astrologer and all these different things. Mom's a bad bitch.
I love that. Dude, that is cool.
If anybody needs an astrology reading, she is available. Call the number below. Mom's incredible.
I love it.
Mom's incredible. You know, her and I had a really challenging couple of years. Because when she immigrated way before me, and it was right around 9/11, it was really hard to get a visa, and it took me 5 years to get to the States.
Wow.
So in between that time, I was 11, and then I immigrated 15, 16. So that's a teenage girl
needing her mom,
left to her own devices in a big city like Moscow with her dad. And I was hurting because I felt like I was unsupported. I felt like I couldn't communicate. I felt like, there's only so much a mother can do over Skype.
Yeah.
And a lot of my issues that we thought were daddy issues were actually mommy issues, were actually just the issues that were a side effect of being an immigrant. And we don't talk about immigration and broken families and how challenging that is, and how hard immigrants work to be here and stay here. You know, I hate reading Instagram and seeing how much people bash the US, the country that they live in. Our patriotism is at all-time low. Yes, we have serious critical issues like gun law. Huge problem. This is a really big problem. And still, this is a land of opportunity for men and women if you want to work. If you want to work, if you want to make something of yourself, there are many countries and many other parts of the world where women are treated as nothing. So for me, it's extremely heartbreaking to see what's happening right now. And I just wish we had more collaboration, more community, more connection, and more pride in the fact that we do live in a place where we can build an amazing life.
Yeah, we have that option.
Oh, a little bit of a rant there. Like, oh, I'm going to need some water. I love America. America.
From the Russians. They love us.
Russians, yeah.
We've heard it from the boss. I love it. I love it. That being said, I think that I'm really curious to hear, did you have good girlfriends in Moscow? Because if you were missing your mom, where were you getting that feminine from, or did you just go without?
So I had my stepmom at the time, who I believe was a really good technical mother. She was feeding and laundering and
making sure you had the necessities.
Making sure I had the necessities. And she was an cop.
Oh.
So the level of emotional intelligence, perhaps not at the highest. And
or maybe just the masculinity very high to be able to do her job. And what you needed was feminine.
And we're talking about a female cop in Russia.
Oh.
Right?
I'm like, oh, scary.
So, and at the time, my dad was going through a really tough time in his business. So it was 9 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Wow, Z. Yeah.
So it was me and my dad and my stepmom and my stepsister and my aunt and my grandma and my uncle and their baby. And then my dad had a baby. So it was, in Russian, we would call it a balagan, which is a total like
shit show.
Clusterfuck shit show. And it was a very challenging emotional time because I shut down.
Yeah. Just to survive.
Just to survive and just to really be, I might cry.
Oh. See, I don't have any tissues for you. I can blow your eyes.
Second episode.
You must be thou shalt be a good blower.
Thou shalt be a good blower.
I can blow really well. Oh my God. Ask Charles.
You know what? I feel like that should be someone's Hinge profile. I'm a real good blower. Anyway.
Okay. My jokes are so good. She's crying, ladies and gentlemen.
And this shutdown, the shutdown is something that I had to thaw out my heart.
Yeah.
And
I understand that.
And a lot of the times that's what we do with girlfriends.
Yeah,
with people and with men. And it's not pretty. You've been hurt.
Yeah. Girl.
Your ex-husband left you 9 months pregnant. No, he left you, cheated on you.
Yeah. He didn't leave. He wanted to have his cake and eat it too. Or have his cupcakes and eat it too. Damn. Drop. I mean, yeah, heartbroken. And I think that's when the first time that I realized I've had girlfriends that I've had since I was 7. So these girls are still, I know that I could pick up the phone anytime I needed and they would be there. Just good girls. That doesn't mean that I always explain to people, usually younger people like my daughter or things like that friendships go in 8s. They're sometimes they're close, sometimes they're crossing paths. Let them have room to breathe because you never really understand where that person truly is at that point. And you have to give people room to grow and breathe. And just because you're on the wide part of an 8 doesn't mean you're not friends anymore. Just give it time. So that's how I've kept friendships for, 30 years in my life. But I've also realized that when the bad things happen, those girls that come to you and they're there to hold your hair back as you're puking over a toilet not because you're shit-faced, because your entire life just got turned upside down and you have no clue which way is up or down and you actually think you're drowning in air, then you know who your true girlfriends are. They're the ones that will just sit there with you and let you cry your heart out. And they don't try to fix it for you because they know they can't.
Yeah.
but they hug you and hold you. And that, I think, was the first time that I realized this is what real girlfriends do. They didn't judge the scenario I was in. They didn't tell me my husband was a piece of shit, or you're going to leave him, right? Or you're going to this. They didn't ask me what I was going to do. They just loved me. And I think that was one of the most valuable displays I had ever seen of what true friendship between women can be. And I wanted to be that for others too.
A lot of the times we get lost in wanting to be right with a girlfriend, wanting to make a point, wanting to tell her that her husband is a piece of shit, or that this job sucks,
Wanting
or that
to protect her.
wanting to protect her. She doesn't need your protection. She needs your love. And she doesn't need, I've had some acquaintances who, when I shared something really deep and really like I was going through something, they're giving me a pep talk or they're giving me a motivational personal development book. And I'm like, I've read them all. I've branded them all. I've done this. I just need you to say, you got this.
Yeah.
Or I just need you to say, you know what? This
What do you
too
need?
shall pass.
Yeah.
Or if you're a really great friend, just say, what do you need?
Yeah. What can I do for you? I have to say, Z, that's something that I really, really admire about you. I don't know how you honed this skill, but you have this thing where when you need, you know how to say, Zlata's being this right now. And you speak about yourself out of person. But it's very easy to be your friend because of that. Because I'm like, oh, you need that? I can do that. Because if you'll tell the person what you're needing and how to support you, if the person loves you, they'll do it. Right. So whenever you tell me that I just need a trash can, or I just need to vent, or I just need to tell you, then I can support you. So that to me is thou shalt be a good communicator.
Thou shalt be a good
honest.
communicator. I love that. So holding the trash can is an extraordinary skill.
Break it down, girl.
Break it down. Okay, let me break this down for you. This is
Rubber gloves first. Yes. Okay.
so this is a practice that my best friend and I have, and we've been best friends for over a decade. We've been through ups and downs, and also lived together in a studio. And
fun.
you know, she was taking a bus to work. I was growing my business. She was babysitting my dog when I was in Bali, finding myself and in crisis. She's held my hair when I was like upside down, inside out. Right. So we have an agreement about holding the trash can.
Okay, let's hear it.
The agreement about holding the trash can goes like this. I send a text message, or she sends a text message, and she says, hey, I need 10 to 15 minutes of your time. Can you hold the trash can? And the other person has to provide permission.
Yes.
Yes or no, I'm available or not. Or I'm available at 7:30. Does that work for you?
Oh.
So they provide willingness
Yes.
to hold the trash can. If it's a yes, then you either do it on a phone call or you charge into a text message and you just send it and you're like, oh, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
And there are times when that friend is not available to hold the trash can.
Yeah. How has that gone?
Hey, I understand you're going through a really hard time. I am overcommitted right now with my projects. I'm unavailable to hold the trash can. I love you.
Oh.
Very simple.
Yeah.
You don't always have to be available for your friends to hold the trash can,
Yeah.
but you always have to ask for permission if you are available for this information to be shared with you, because you're responsible for the kind of energy that you
Bring to it.
share into the universe and bring to the world.
Yeah.
And then the number one rule of the trash can when you call that person is that person who is listening cannot give you advice, suggestions, or solutions.
Nice.
They cannot provide a solution for you. The only thing they're allowed to say is there anything else about that?
I love it.
Is there anything else about that? And the most amazing thing about being the person who is doing the blah, 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 blah
Yeah.
in the trash can, you can say anything you want. You can have the most ridiculous judgment. You can say the most ridiculous stuff, and the other person knows that they're just holding the trash can.
And once you're done, they're going to tie the trash can bag up and throw it away.
Right.
There's no discussing it. It doesn't have to be, that's true. That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not accurate.
Talk
This-
shit about your boss.
No.
You know,
We're
no.
not getting into it.
No,
It's
we're
not
not getting
about
into it. And if when someone says, is there anything else about that? And the person keeps puking,
Then there's more.
then there's more stuff to
Oh,
hold.
wait a second. Is this like real life? Like if you're still puking, then just keep
Yeah,
going.
just keep going. And then at some point you're going to be like, oh, okay,
My
I'm done.
husband's like, you've dry heaved enough.
Oh, stop.
I'm like, look, you've never been this nauseous.
it's just like ugh. It just I just got done with an ayahuasca ceremony 2 weeks ago, so there was some pukage, some serious, purge happening. So, but in the friendship container, when you keep purging quite literally that energy, the other person doesn't have to fix it. They just say, is there anything else about that? And then when it's complete, you dust your shoulders off and you move on.
Yeah.
And you just go, how's your day?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being that for me. I think that one of the most interesting things about what you're describing is that the person holding the trash can doesn't pick up that energy. It stays in the trash. So unless you're strong enough to be able to do that, then don't accept it. Because you can't accept that and then tell the person later you overshared. They weren't sharing with you. They were puking. Like, let's just be for real. So if you're willing to do that for your girlfriend, then you also have to be willing to tie that trash can back up and take it out.
I love that. What does toxic oversharing look like?
Because what's the difference between that and trash can?
Healthy oversharing versus toxic oversharing. Let's talk about this, because I've been on the receiving end of some toxic oversharing, and I was like,
what's happening here?
Napkin?
Wine?
Wine? I don't drink anymore, so it's okay. Yeah. So what's toxic oversharing?
For me?
Yeah. What does that look like?
So I have this problem of undersharing versus oversharing.
She totally does. Sometimes I'm like,
mouth shut.
Hello.
Are you alive in there, robot? I'm like, beep, 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 beep. Yeah, I'm still alive.
Is this thing
I charged last night.
Is this thing on?
Yeah. So I have the problem of undersharing. I have been on the side of receiving toxic oversharing. And I think where that happened with myself is I love really deeply. And if someone's in pain, I want to be there to support you. So my boundaries weren't right. So the story that I'm thinking of had a lot to do with what had happened to me previously in life. So this goes back to what you were saying. You see your own pain in things. And so as this person was sharing, I think it was an overshare because they didn't ask. I never got asked. I just got dumped on. And I mean, the pain was so great that she was suffering. I understood. But after a while, because the pain hit so close to my own personal suffering, it became too much for me to handle. And so I really don't even blame her for oversharing. I blame myself for not even blame, learning experience for not setting up those boundaries to protect myself because I hadn't fully healed from my own stories that matched hers, right? So I'm sure I attracted her energy because I had my own pain that was similar.
But also there wasn't a part of you that was
I was
strong,
capable to hold
strong,
trash can.
capable.
Yeah.
To also say, no.
Yeah, that's enough.
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
I am unqualified
for this scenario.
For this particular conversation.
Yeah.
I don't believe I'm the best person to share this with.
Yeah.
I love you deeply. It hits to a very personal, close experience with me. And I hope that you find healing, but I'm really unable to be here for you for this.
Yeah. In the way that you need. And I think that as I've gotten older, I've learned that I can say those things. But when I was younger, I felt like if you say you're going to be there for someone, then you have to be there for all of it. And that's not necessarily the case, because now I have friends that I share different things with.
Which brings me to a really important point. We're going to shift your mic a little bit.
Oh, thank you.
Which brings me to a very important point on sometimes we want so much from our girlfriends and it's just unfair. When we first start our business, we expect them to be a good business person. When we are in relationship crisis, we expect them to be a good therapist. Sometimes when we're in outfit crisis, we expect them to provide things, to be a stylist. Like your girlfriend is sort of like an army Swiss knife of all of these different skills and all of these different skill sets and these really high expectations. So how does a good girlfriend manage that? How does a good girlfriend remain a good girlfriend? Because if sometimes she's not available for all of it, how do you sort that out?
Oh, I love that you said that. So for me, I've really spent the last probably 12 years in my entrepreneurial journey honing in what are my 8s, 9s, and 10s? What are the things that I am just awesome at? So I'm very clear on the things that I know that I can provide you value in. So if you haven't asked me to hold the trash can and you're actually asking me to help you, if what you're asking for help in is one of my 8s, 9s, or 10s, I'll be here for you all day. If it's not, then I'm just going to be like, God, Z, that is not my thing. Let me see if I have someone in my Rolodex or in my connection network that I can hook you up with. I am all about connecting others. So if I truly love you, I'll connect you. That's how you know. So thou shalt be a good connector.
Thou shalt share resources.
Yep. Share resources, be a good connector, and don't take on shit you don't know anything about. Like, I'm not trying to give you advice on, things that I don't want to lead you wrong. So I can only share my experiences. That's how I feel about it. How about you?
With my bestie, we stopped talking about business. We stopped talking about anything business related because love her to pieces. She really helped me start my first company. She really was there to hold my hand and hold my hair when things were good and things were bad. She drove me to the hospital when I had a panic attack. Oh, my first panic. She was like, I've never seen you like that. I mean, half of my face was paralyzed.
Holy shit, Z.
Like it
Talk
was
about panic attack.
Talk about a panic attack galore. And while she was really supportive in the beginning of my business, she wasn't my business strategist. So she was the cheerleader for my business to grow. She was a cheerleader for all these things to succeed. But when I started asking her about business strategy, she clearly wasn't the right person to ask these questions, right? Like
That's unfair.
It's unfair to ask our girlfriends to be all of the things for ourselves. Yeah. So if I'm growing my business, if I'm growing my business, she can be a supporter. She can be my cheerleader, but I do need to go hire a quarterback.
Yeah, of course.
Who's already played the game and can do it better. This is where pay to plays come in.
Right back in.
This is where all of these amazing other opportunities to be in an entrepreneurial community. And that's actually the first thing I did. Yeah. I joined an entrepreneurial community at the time with women who have been equipped to build their businesses and to help me with what I needed help with. Yeah. So, and our friendship became so much better. So it's important for ourselves to recognize what we need in our friendships and who is most qualified to provide that. Because in the end of the day, our friends are our supporters.
Yeah. Don't overuse them.
Don't overuse them.
Jeez. Yeah. I think that's a big thing. Overuse.
Have you ever felt used in a friendship?
Actually, many times. I have. Especially as I began to do better financially, I started to feel like, is this person just hanging out with me because I pay for everything? Like, I'm making sure it's a good time. I'm doing this or that. And so I became much more attentive to what are they bringing to the table? Are we bringing equally, not necessarily the same gift, but are we bringing all of ourselves? And are we giving all of ourselves with the gifts that we have? Or are we just taking? This is, to me, such a big thing. And it's not just girlfriends, it's people all around. I love TED Talks. I know you do too. I think you've actually done some. That being said, there is one about givers and takers on there. Everybody knows a giver and taker. It's like, oh yeah, there's givers and takers. But I really think, I can't remember the gentleman that did the talk, but he broke it down into 4. So there's 2 types of givers and 2 types of takers. And this was such a crucial thing for me to learn. There are the traditional ones, givers and takers that everybody sees. I am a giver. I'll give you the shirt off my back. And then there's the takers, when you leave their presence, you're like, there's a fucking vampire. Like, am I still alive? Yeah. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm bleeding out right now. Everybody knows those. They're easy to spot. But then there's 2 others. So there's a disagreeable giver. These are some of the most valuable people to have in your company because they make you prove who you are. Once you've proven that you're safe and you're a good person, they'll give you anything you need and they'll be there for you no matter what. They protect the traditional givers from over giving because they look out for you. And then there's takers that are called agreeable takers, basically wolves in sheep's clothing. So you think they're super sweet and they're so nice and they're this and that, but every time you leave them, you feel completely drained because they took everything that you had with a huge smile on their face. Those are the ones you have to look out for because they're not easy to tell. And so that's what I really started doing, was going through all of my friends and all of my connections and categorizing them. What are they? How do I feel energetically when I leave their presence?
I'm going to sit here stunned for a second and take a deep breath.
I'll take one with you. Can we have some like sage? I told Crystal I was going to sage our apartment that we're staying in. And as I'm doing it, I'm like, with Palo Santos.
Palo Santo. Yeah. Let's take another deep breath.
Saging.
How many people are thinking about their friends and acquaintances and taking an inventory right now? I want you to take an inventory.
It's super important.
I recently had to take an inventory, and I had to get the people out of my life who are draining my energy, who were friends with me just because I was a really good business strategist, or they were friends with me because I was really fun to hang around, right? Like, because I'm a character. I got jokes. I got things. And it was...
You also got good tunes.
Yeah, I also got good tunes. It was extremely challenging for me because I realized, wow, I've never actually received anything from this human being that was valuable to me. And I didn't make a public service announcement that I'm no longer calling you.
Yeah. You didn't break up with them?
I didn't break up with them. I didn't come into their house and make this big drama about, we're just going on a separate path and I don't think we agree and I don't like that you do this. And it's like,
you haven't given me enough for what I've given you. It's not about that.
It's not about
the
that.
energy.
It's about the energy. And if you're taking inventory right now, which we want you to do, because this is a girlfriend's podcast, we talk about collaboration, connection, creation. How do you feel when you leave this person? Do you feel energized, excited? Do you feel like you connected and created valuable conversation? Or are you energized because you took? Because we've all been in those conversations where you felt like you took as well, right? Like sometimes I said like, this was better for me than it was for them. And how do you feel afterwards? How do you show up the next time?
Yeah, I think that's really important what you hit on, Z. Not every time do we have to leave a meeting or a phone call equal. It's not about giving equally. It's about giving your all in that moment.
Because again, it's not about transaction. You gave, I gave. You gave, I gave. When you're truly in your essence of being
a good friend.
When you're being a good friend, you're not there with checks and balances. You know,
But your energy will tell you.
You know when you need to call your friend and you're like, okay, how are you doing? You know when you took up a lot of space and you need to protect your friendship because there's...
By saying thank you. Thank you for holding the trash can.
Thank you for being generous with your time. Yes. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Because there's
acknowledging what people have given you.
It's a big deal, but don't. Okay, when you get off this podcast, I want you to take out your phone and text 5 of your closest friends what you're grateful to them for.
Yeah.
Right after the podcast. If you're driving, don't do that.
You can voice text.
You can voice note, right?
Don't do that either. That's Alicia.
That sounds like Alicia.
Like, please put your phone down.
Tell your friends why you're grateful for their presence in their life.
Yeah.
In your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's you, there's them, and then there's a other third entity, which is your relationship.
That you've created together.
That's important. And that needs nourishing and love and connection.
So what I call that is gold digging. I call it gold digging.
She's really good. She's a really good gold digger.
I like to dig gold. I'm like, let's do this. Yeah, literally. I don't know the words to this. Wait, what? Did you just do a remix? Okay. Yes,
okay, gold digger, tell me.
I love to gold dig. So I think that this works for all people, not just for your girlfriends. I apply it a lot to my closest relationships. So Charles gets a lot of gold dug because it's like, hey, we are together all the time.
He's a gold mine too.
He is a gold mine. I need to make sure that our relationship stays strong. And all it really is digging out and polishing the beautiful things about that person. So I think it's a little bit different, men versus women. So for my husband, impact is a big thing. He is a man who wants to leave a positive mark, a legacy, those types of things. So when I dig gold, I like to tell him about the impact that he's making. I see the impact that you made on that employee when you took the 5 minutes to listen to what they had to say. I see the impact that you made on the vendor that came in when you could have bit their head off and you were kind and understanding. I see the impact that you're making in the world as you're moving through it. That's a big deal to him. So I also try to dig gold about the way that he treats me. It really makes me feel such and such when you treat me that way. way. Thank you for taking the time. So there's different type of gold that has to be dug, but you can dig it for your girlfriends too. And you can dig it in a way that shows them that you see them. That's what it really is. It's about, I see you and I appreciate the person you are.
I love this because appreciation is life force.
It is. It's the best energy.
It's the best energy. And it's the great energy for female friendships and male friendships, which we need to do an episode on male friendship.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Is that possible?
To be just friends. Is there anything as just
Is
friends?
it possible to be just friends? Okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
whole
Like, that's a whole other story.
That's a whole another story.
Man.
I believe it's possible.
I believe.
So let's talk back to
Okay, back
commandments.
to girlfriends.
Back to girlfriends.
Like, that's a whole.
This is not that episode.
I digress.
But please tune in.
For that episode, because I'm sure we'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Girlfriends get
There's
to
many more. There's many more to come, and I'm sure we'll tune in. So far we have: thou shalt be a creatrix.
I love that one.
Thou shalt tell the truth. Ding a ding a ding. Thou shalt be a cheerleader. So how can we combine cheerleader and trash can holder at the same time? Is that a supporter?
Yes, but I think there's such different things.
Okay,
like maybe you have a girlfriend that is a really good trash can holder. Like that's her forte. That's one of her 8s, 9s, or 10s.
I have a girlfriend like that.
Right.
Who actually needs to be on the podcast. Yelena, shout out to you, homegirl.
She's coming for you.
She talks about pleasure. She's an amazing, sensual seductress who teaches Tantra and takes you on these like tantric vision quests with your partner. Super sexy. We're going to have her on.
Yes, please.
Yes.
I'm excited
more
to
on
meet
that.
you, girlfriend. But no, I think they're different things. I think that I'm a better trash can holder than cheerleader. Like as far as cheerleading goes, I have a tendency, because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a problem solver, that if you start telling me, I'm going to want to solve your problems. So it's like, ooh, that might not be my 8, 9, or 10, but I can hold your trash can if you just tell me I need to throw up. But if you want me to be a cheerleader, I'm going to really go into like, how can I help you make it better?
Yeah. Alicia, what we're working on in our friendship is Alicia celebrating Alicia a lot more.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And
You're a cheerleader.
I'm a really good cheerleader. I'm a great cheerleader. I am here for you to tell you look fired today.
You do. And you make me so uncomfortable when you...
Are you squirming?
Because you know, just a little bit. Oh,
you look so beautiful. You look so stunning.
See what the fuck I mean?
She put in so much work into the show on top of everything else that you were doing. I think you're just a rock star. And the way that you made everyone feel today, even though it was a giant inconvenience for a lot of people this morning, what happened with the fire alarms? It was a whole thing.
It was hilarious.
She made everyone feel special.
You're sweet. See, it's hard for me to like, I get squirmy with that shit. I'm like, you don't have to say it. Anybody could do it. And I don't say anything.
Eggplant. Sex joke.
Let's throw a sex joke in here. But no, I appreciate that you see that I need to grow there and that you are willing to make me uncomfortable. You'll slow it down and I'm like, oh fuck, every time Z slows down, I'm going to get it. And you help me breathe through it. And you help me become a more graceful person because of it. So I appreciate that.
And you help me do the opposite. You help me really ask for what I want and what I need more. We were at a restaurant once and we were not getting a table that was remotely even okay for the amount of stars that this restaurant had. And Alicia asked 3 or 4 times for a table. And I was like, note to self, be more like Alicia. And she did it in a really sweet, kind, thoughtful way. Because that table was just unacceptable.
Yeah, it wasn't an add to the energy that we were looking for.
Right.
It was kind of a negative.
Right. So the point that I derived from this is thou shalt grow together.
I like it.
I love it. I love how we just got into commandments.
Yeah, we made our own.
So fun fact, all of these shows were like super scripted. We're like, oh, I got to put this in a project manager software and like give all these scripts, right? Like, but I think the most amazing things in friendships come out of like really unscripted, raw, real moments.
What, just being girlfriends? Are you saying that just being girlfriends is the best type of girlfriend time? Because I think that's what you just said. I feel like...
Буду говорить по-русски, ничего не знаю.
Bye, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, ladies only. You're dead. No, I love that.
Oh, so good. Are we complete?
I don't know. Are we complete? Do we feel good?
Do we feel
Does the
good?
energy feel done? I feel like it's a wrap. You want to wrap us up?
It's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. In this episode, we talked about gossip. We talked about red flags. I cried and I made Alicia squirm.
You always make me squirt.